Welcome to CONEXEC, a global leadership platform for construction executives. This is a weekly podcast for construction executives or aspiring construction executives, and we interview a current executive in our industry and ask them some questions about them and their company and give some advice for people across our audience. So today I have Ben Dycus, and as I say each week, I've known Ben for a while. We've served on boards together, and if you don't know Ben, he's on like every board known to man around Kentucky. So he's going to kind of tell us about himself and kind of his background. So Ben, kind of walk us through. Did you grow up in Kentucky?
Sure. Well, Scott. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me on here. I'm a bond producer, surety bond producer for Van Meter Insurance Group, with which is a division of Houchins Insurance Group. We're based in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So I know I'm a little bit of a different guest on here. So first off, I appreciate you inviting me on here, especially, considering I'm not, an actual construction executive, but, certainly I consider myself in the construction industry, more so than I consider myself in the, insurance and bonding industry even, no, I am from Kentucky. I grew up in a small town just north of Lexington, Cynthiana, Kentucky. Graduated from Harrison County High School, a class of '06 actually, but, went to Transylvania, for college. And, there I, majored in business with a minor in econ, and then, with a concentration in finance. So, I'm a numbers guy at heart, but, also a people guy as well. And, in college, I interned with Van Meter Insurance. We have obviously a Lexington office here, but like I said, based in Bowling Green. So I interned there pretty much from my sophomore year on, and I was doing a lot of the typical intern stuff. Even the errand boy, the making the coffee. It was me, all the way. But learning a lot all along the way. And then I moved to Bowling Green for a couple years after I graduated college to work in our home office there. And really it's at that time where I really learned the ropes of what all we really did at an insurance agency. I really learned how the wheels moved and just how it all worked. So at that point then too, I was doing personal insurance at that time, home and auto type stuff. But, I really wasn't getting fulfillment out of that particular role that I was really wanting for my life. I was also at that time looking to try to get back closer to home in Lexington area, so I was looking at some other things. And my higher ups at Van Meter had kind of caught wind of me looking at some other things. So they approached me with regard to basically leading our bond department for our Lexington office here with Van Meter. So at the time, really, I said I learned the ropes through what all we did, but I didn't really know what the bond department did. And it was at that time when when they approached me about it, I said, well, what in the world is the bond department? It sounds cool. But what do we really do is we've always been in, kind of a small department in the overall agency. Still are for the most part, but, we're a significant department now, or always have been, but, so they said, it told me what it is, what it entails. And you're said you're dealing with contractors for the most part. And I said, well, that sounds great. Sign me up. Let's do it. And so I've been doing that. That was back in 2013, I guess. So I've been doing it now ever since.
So why did you pick Transylvania instead of UK?
My mom went there actually. So she was a big proponent, of it. I like the idea of a small liberal arts school. I coming from a small town, I also, like the idea of kind of the closeness of a small campus and, Transy at the time anyway, it was about 1,100 students. And, I like the idea of getting to know your professors on a personal level, even, having close interaction with them, very close interaction with my peers as well. So it was a good fit. And Lexington, like I said, grew up, Cynthiana's close to Lexington, but it's kind of my home. Lexington is kind of my home base here. So, I thought it was just a perfect opportunity right here downtown. And, we're just a couple blocks from good old Rupp Arena, to walk down and catch a game.
I was going to say,
nice.
Transylvania is kind of like going to UK, but not going to UK, because you get to take advantage of all their events and all that stuff, So
exactly. We're the little brother of Lexington. A lot of folks always, they totally forget about Transy in a lot of ways.
Maybe
at the time when I was in.
Maybe when Transy makes enough tuition dollars, they can build a pedway across the dang road, so people don't have to. You got the road running through your campus, So, but
I know it. I've had a few close calls, as we all have at Transy.
Well, so tell me about Van Meter. I know your offices are just right down the road from me, actually. But so tell me about Van Meter as a company.
Yeah. So Van Meter Insurance was actually founded in 1978 by a gentleman named Chip Van Meter, and Chip was there for several years. But before my time, I actually haven't met Chip. I believe he's retired down in Florida. But I hear a lot of good Chip Van Meter stories for sure. So it sounds like he was quite a character, but a great businessman. And, we've, as an agency, what we have always been into for the most part is, you're working with your good old, blue collar folks. He built the business on, in the lumber and construction industries, really, so that's where he, we've since, ventured into several other, pretty much all sectors of business now, but that was our bread and butter, is really, lumber and contractors and mining, I believe, as well, but, so in 2007, I believe we at Van Meter, got, fast forward a little bit. Chip had sold the business to First Tennessee Bank of, obviously, Tennessee, and it wasn't quite the fit. This was before my time, really, so I'm just telling this third hand here, but it wasn't apparently the best fit for our long term and really our culture at Van Meter. So in 2007, we teamed up with Houchins Industries, based in Bowling Green, and to essentially become part of Houchins Industries, essentially be their insurance division for Houchins Industries. And Houchins, so really now, to be honest with you, we've kind of been over the past several years and still are, kind of transitioning to go by Houchins Insurance Group more and more so. So I tell folks that we have, been having somewhat of an identity crisis a little bit. Are you Van Meter, or are you Houchins Insurance, or what are you? So I tell them, well, really right now both. But probably, eventually we're just going to be all under the Houchins Insurance Group name. But so Houchins Industries, though, is an ESOP. It's a 100% ESOP, and actually, until a couple years ago, it was the nation's largest 100% ESOP. Doing about, it's about $3 billion revenue company and about 18,000 employees. And actually, folks don't know this is either, but it's actually the largest private company based in Kentucky.
Oh, really?
So listed by Forbes on the, Forbes list, I guess, of largest private companies in the U.S. And Houchins is, I believe, the only one on there from Kentucky. So, but we have operations, of course, in Kentucky, obviously, but also outside. We have, we own, or I say we, Houchins owns, construction companies, as well as, manufacturing companies, even financial services companies until recently. So I like to think of them as it's a very big conglomerate, and but at the heart of Houchins Industries is the grocery business. So that's where Houchins operates under Houchins Insurance or Houchins Food Group, and even under Save-A-Lots, Piggly Wiggly's, formerly anyway, Save-A-Lots, bunch of different labels actually, but or brands, but all throughout the Midwest and Southeast, really. So
well, you covered everything from insurance to Piggly Wiggly there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we cover it all, baby.
I was gonna say, man, that's pretty impressive. So, well, so the core. I mean, obviously, you guys doing insurance is. I mean, and there's a lot that goes in it. Do you guys do a little bit of everything, or a lot of everything, in the insurance business?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So we are a full line shop, so to speak. We have everything from your personal lines department all the way up to large commercial lines, employee benefits. You name it. If it has to do with insurance, we have something to do with it. We have a department for it and touch it, and bonding, of course. So even. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I'm a little biased, but I can say, because, you guys do my insurance and, bonding and all that stuff. And, one thing I will have to say that I've been impressed. I had another organization I was using, and one of the things that kind of always rubbed me a little bit wrong was their lack that when you have a problem, you couldn't really call somebody. And it drove me crazy to call. So the fact I couldn't call somebody and talk with an individual. But with you guys, not only can you call, but you guys are responsive too. So there's my little plug for Van Meter. So
all right, thank you so much. Yeah, no, we pride ourselves on that. We certainly we're a good sized organization. Even under Houchins, of course, Houchins being a large behemoth in and of itself, but we at Houchins Insurance Group, we're a pretty good sized insurance agency as well. I think in the top 50. But even though with our size, we pride ourselves on the fact that we are, we're just the good old get down, get our knees dirty, kind of guys and gals here. We just like to dig in and solve problems for our customers and take care of our customers, and we pride ourselves on that day in, day out. So
when you guys
good to hear that.
When you guys plan, going forward for the construction, I mean, I'm going to change the typical question I have. I normally ask about 5 and 10 year plans as far as for
Sure.
organizations, but for you, I'd like to ask a little bit of a different question, and that is, how do you see the industry, and you doing bonding, and how are you planning for that industry and the changes that are going to occur over the next, say, 5 to 10 years?
Sure. No, good question. We don't know. Obviously, nobody's got a crystal ball. Our mentality as an agency, and even me personally, is we're in the value add business. So as long as we're not looking at the metrics of the overall market of what construction is going to do. We can, I think we can do that till the cows come home, and we can drive ourselves crazy doing it, but at the end of the day, we're here to add value for our customers. As long as there's construction work to be done and clients to be serviced, we are going to be there. And, so we hope that, if you believe in the United States of America, as I do, then we're going to continue to grow as a country, and as we, construction is a critical component of growth of our good nation. I think we're, right now we're seeing that before our very eyes. I'm sitting here at my house. Going to go ahead and apologize. Hopefully you don't hear a toddler in the background of this, but we're sitting here in the midst of a pandemic here of COVID-19, and we don't know what's going to happen through all of this. But we're here. We at Van Meter, and me personally, we are here determined to keep plugging along. Whatever that really looks like. That's just what we've, as a whole, too, prided ourselves on, is that adaptability. We always just seek to move with the tides. As soon as you stop moving with what's going on, then you're dead. Look at our president of Housen's Insurance Group is Andy Barker is his name. He'd love me telling this story on him, but he always brings up the story of IBM and how they became irrelevant. In a lot of ways. They were the leading company, and just they lost focus, as did look at Kodak, another example. But we as an agency, and a lot of our folks, the way that we're, for the most part, all wired, is to just continue plugging along. And so 5 years, 10 years, I don't know what what the construction industry will look like. I hope that it is nice and robust. It is certainly, knock on wood, it's right now. It is right now. And, we're very fortunate to be a part of this great industry that you and I are both in. And we hope that it continues on, because, it adds tremendous value to people's lives and to the nation as a whole, world as a whole. And, but looking forward to that, we don't know. We go with the times a little bit, but we do still, we do look ahead, and we obviously have goals and such that we try to continually push forward on and trying to achieve. We take it day by day.
And you never know. This pandemic is a great example of the fact that, you can plan for every eventuality, but tell me what construction company out there actually planned for this to occur. And the answer is really simple. None.
Right.
This was not in the playbook for almost anyone. And so the fact that this was a good kind of, an awakening for a lot of people, that we can go from the great times to having to be completely stopped or semi-stopped, and but then again, I think it could also go, and I'm an optimist by nature, but I also think it could go the other way. I think the faucet can be immediately turned back on, and the problem is with what we're doing unlike for a barber, once the this is all lifted or whatever, nobody's going to go get 2 haircuts, so
Right.
So they lose that revenue forever. But for us, it's different because they still have projects going. If anything, this could change the dynamic of construction, because it could change the design of, hey, if we're going to build a restaurant, we got to anticipate this could happen. So how would that change the way we lay it out, or what we do, those type of things. And I did want to comment on one other thing. The greatest analogy someone uses about how you can become irrelevant, or use them as an example, is Blockbuster. And I don't know, I'm old enough to remember Blockbuster. I don't know if you are, Ben, but
oh yeah.
I remember renting a VCR from Blockbuster, so that's, and that is just so funny now.
What's that, Scott?
I know. I told my daughter got in my 68 Camaro, and she went to roll down the window, and it doesn't have power windows, obviously, because it's 68. And she goes, she looked at it and she said, "What's this?" And it was the window crank, So it just goes to show you,
That's great.
But Blockbuster's a prime example. You either evolve and move forward, and just with the same situation, or you die, So that's really, really interesting. What do you think you've mentioned many different events about your organization that have occurred, transitioning ownership and different events happen in the market. What do you believe is the most significant event that you've had a chance to either be part of or hear of for Van Meter?
Yeah, I think Barnone, it has to be becoming a part of Houchins Industries. Really, in '07, that was right before I came on board. So when I was interviewing to come on board as an intern back in '08, they were touting, we're part of this ESOP now. I said, well, I have no idea what an ESOP is. I'm a sophomore in college, had no clue, but the longer I've stuck around, the more I realized the value to that and what they really meant behind that. So bar none, it has to be getting hooked up with Houchins. It's just completely changed our trajectory as an organization as a whole. Obviously, I'd say, or I don't know what all the discussions were like when Houchins acquired us, but I'd venture to say they were probably in all their companies paying a lot in insurance outside, and so it was what is that, vertical integration, to where they wanted to just bring it in house. So, but we grew to more than just the internal, insurance provider. We are our own animal and have leveraged the relationship that we have with Houchins and relationships that Houchins has with all of, obviously, our sister companies, but also, clients of our sister companies, stakeholders all across the board with all of our sister companies, so it's just really in the type of culture that we had prior to that acquisition and that we have now is in large part very similar, because it's just this go get 'em attitude. So we took what we had, which was some phenomenal relationships of tentacles, I guess, all over the place with Houchins, and we've leveraged it, and we continue to do so today. We've so that bar none has to be the changing, the significant event, which was right before me. And so I'm fortunate to have come on board when I did, right as that was fresh. And it's been fun to see, that just where we've gone, and I'm excited for where we are going as well.
So, I know this is going to require you to brag on yourself, and you're a humble guy, but I'm going to ask you to brag upon yourself. And I know your wife probably doesn't say you're humble, but, I'm saying you're humble. So, but
no way.
But what skills and ability do you think you really bring to the table? And I'm going to say not for Van Meter necessarily, but for, like, if someone comes to you, a construction company comes to you, and they say, hey, I need bonding, or I'm interviewing bonding people, and I want to know what skills and ability you could help bring to the table for me. What would you tell them?
Great question. Really it's just, my attitude is one of keep plugging along, find a way to just get it done. Just get it done. And I try to do that in an empathetic way. I'm a big fan in the word empathy, and in all ways that I carry myself, I try to be empathetic, in that, putting myself in my customer's shoes and my wife's shoes and whoever's shoes, to really understand where they are coming from when they are asking me for something, so I try to just simply put, just listen and be in their shoes. And that way I think I do that really well. And so I in that way I'm able to, service my customers and prospects in ways that, add value for them, because if I'm adding value to, I'm putting myself in their shoes and adding value to what I think would be of added value to them. And, that has served me well. So it's empathetic, hard work. Simply is what it is, I think, and organization. I try to stay organized and that as well. So
as being as being one of your clients, I can give you, this is what I would say. If somebody asked me that, number one, I would say your hair. I mean, you got perfect hair. So,
what little I have, still.
I know. I mean, but what I would tell somebody is when somebody asks me who handles my insurance and my bonding, I said, well, Ben does, and the reason, and then they asked me, well, why would you go with Ben? And my response is simply this: is that you've said it several different times, and I think that the audience has kind of grasped onto it. But you call it the go get 'em attitude. I call it you have, you're aggressive to get things done. And that's what I appreciate. I appreciate in a business like ours, where there's things have to happen quickly and there's a lot of moving parts, is that you're extremely aggressive, and that's something you want on your side. I mean, we recently were dealing with something, even though it didn't work out, the fact that you are so proactive and aggressive on it, just, to me, that right there pays dividends. So, and you're not paying me to say this, although you are my agent and you can reduce my rates. So we'll just
touche, sir. Yes.
What and speaking differently, we talked about talking about Van Meter as a company. What are some of their big strengths as Van Meter?
I'd have to say, it is a phenomenal culture. I mean, we all pull the rope in the same direction. Everybody across the board is very like-minded as I am, here. We all are big believers in being captains of your own ship, even though, I'm not an executive of my company. I am, in a way, the owner and executive of my own little company, Ben Dycus LLC. And we run very autonomously, as an organization, and that, the Good to Great, the book, making sure that the right folks are in the right seats on the bus, and they very much are. We as an organization are very, emblematic of that, in that, we all have this attitude. We share this culture of, hard work, simply put. So it's the culture, is what sets us apart, So I know I keep harping on that, but that's what it is. We're just hard nosed, get in there, and thank you for your words. I appreciate the kind words on me, but, I hope, it's good aggression, hopefully. I am aggressive in that, I'm all about driving forward, but I hope it doesn't come off as overbearing. And I think as a whole, we as sales folks, I am in sales, of course, as we all are. We can tend to be, a little overbearing with things, but it's all from a perspective of seeking to add value and understanding our customers and client and prospects.
And
that's us across the board.
The reason I use the word aggressive, and I use it in a very positive way, is it's not like, hey, you walk on a car lot and this guy jumps on your back, that kind of thing. I just like when I have a need, I can pick up the phone and call you, and you will see it to completion. And that's and any business owner or anybody who's a senior member organization can honestly say that that's special, and I 100% appreciate that, and because it's not, this is something we need. I like you, Ben, but when I call you, I really need something, So
certainly.
But
so kind of piggybacking on that, I don't want to talk too much on myself here, but a core belief that I have is that, you know, people should be free to pursue happiness in whichever way they see fit, you know, that they are living their lives on purpose every day. And so, you know, if you're picking up the phone to call me, that means you're stopping what you're doing in pursuit of your, you know, whatever you're pursuing out there. You need something from me, you know? And so, you know, if I'm choosing to do, if you're choosing to do business with me and I'm choosing to do business with you, then, you know, I have committed to you that, yeah, I'm going to dive into your issue here, and I'm going to make sure that you get taken care of, because this is, you know, that's just the belief I have, is that, you know, if I'm taking care of what you need, then you're able to take care of what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that's just, I'm a believer in, you know, everybody being empowered to live life on their own terms, and my actions hopefully speak to that, you know.
What, you know, and to jump to kind of, you know, on a personal and a professional level, if you were talking, and I know I met Ben a lot. I got to know Ben, I should say, through our advisory board at EKU's construction management program, and I know Ben had spent some time. He spent a lot of time coming with us and helping with us. And by the way, I appreciate that a lot, and it makes our program better. But
Sure.
the you know, the common, you know, thought process, the common reason people listen to this podcast is for this question here. What advice would you give to somebody that was looking to come into construction or go into bonding, or have to work with somebody like you from a personal and professional level? I mean, we all have stories. We all live different lives. And if you had to give that young person advice like that college student, what would you tell them, both personally and professionally?
You know, I would say to, give me a sec to think how to put this.
I know that's like me asking, tell me, you know, how the world was created. You know, I mean, so that's along those lines. And you now have 3 seconds to tell me. No, but
yeah, no problem. I would say, you know, an important question to ask yourself, you know, is why you want to do what you're wanting to do. I mean, what is your why in life? Another book that one of my favorite books is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. You know, we if you know yourself, you can, you know, the sky's the limit if you can know yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you know why you're going to do what you are seeking to do, you know, so if you're seeking to be a construction professional, well, why do you like that business? And then keep asking yourself why, and you know, I think, you know, if you can really, you know the answers to those questions, then you can, you know, you've got the world ahead of you with that, you know. And you know, and it may just start with just a simple, you know, passion. I have a passion for the construction industry. I like working with my hands, or I like, you know, working with numbers in the, you know, CPA profession or bonding, you know, profession. You know, well, you know, that passion can turn into, you know, if I've always had the belief of, if you follow your passion, and you know why you're following that, why you have that passion in the first place, then you'll be good at what you do. And if you're good at what you do, you'll be well compensated for that. You know, so it's kind of a beautiful circle in a way, and it all starts really with, you know, with knowing yourself and knowing why you want to pursue what you want to pursue. Really ask yourself those questions. So that is the question that I would ask somebody is have you asked yourself these questions of why you want to pursue what you're seeking to pursue?
And you know what? That's great advice, personally and professionally, because it seems like a lot of people get this backwards, they go
Yeah.
do something and then they realize, well, gosh, that's not really why. It's just necessity, and
Yeah.
but that's really, really good advice. I'm gonna go through like my speed round here, and I'm interested from a bonding perspective how you would rate these. These are different categories, and it's a scale 1 to 10, 10 being the most important, 1 being the least important. They could all be 10s, but from a bonding perspective and dealing with bonding companies, I think our audience would really like to have your insight when I talk about these different concepts. So if you're ready, I'll start with scheduling.
All right. Scheduling, I would say is an 8. Yes. It's clearly I've seen issues, a lot of times with contractors to where, the schedule hasn't really been clearly defined on the front end of a project. And so, it could create, ambiguity in the relationship between, contractor and owner, or sub and GC, when you have that uncertainty going in, then, it could be a formula for disaster. Making sure that, the schedule is well articulated and communicated properly, is very, very important, but I'd give it an 8 though, not like a 9 or 10 really, because in some ways, you can sometimes, figure it out on the fly a little bit, obviously with this coronavirus stuff, the schedules that were implemented did not account for, what's going on right now, clearly, but, everybody's for the most part figuring it out as we're going along. So that's why I give it an 8.
What about estimating?
Estimating, 10, actually. It all starts with, the estimate. I mean, that's how you win work, and that's, as long as you have a good one, then you should hopefully have a good project. Obviously, or it all starts there. Obviously, it has to be carried through in the field, and office, of course, but it all starts with that. That is the foundational item, is making sure that you're spot on from the outset on the project. So that's why it's of the utmost importance.
And I have 2 different items here, and you can talk one after the other. I have contracts and contract administration, and a lot of people get confused when I say that, but I'm talking about a contract dealing with, having a contract in place, prime or subcontract, and then on the other side, the execution of the contract through administrative procedures. So can you give me numbers on those?
Yeah. I'd say on contracts, I'd give it a 7. It's, I forgot who it was, on your podcast, but they had mentioned, that hopefully you spend your time in crafting your contracts with your attorneys and making sure that you're thinking things fully through and whatnot, but at the end of the day, hopefully it's there for the in case, it's there to ensure that, if everybody's pulling the rope in the right direction and getting along and working through, you hopefully never even have to look at the contract. You have it there and you set it and forget it. So the hope is that, I think there are more important things than having that contract in place.
A contract administration.
So that's why I give it a contract administration, 7 as well, for very similar reasons. It's following, how to pay and how to get paid, in the contract, and how to do everything, but for the most part, or it sets the rules of doing everything, but for the most part, as long as folks are working together, for the achievement of a project, of a successful project, then it should just work on its own. I'm a believer in, I'm maybe your atypical bond guy, and my bond companies would probably hate hearing me talk, give contracts and contract administration sevens here, but but
you operate in reality.
Good old, yeah. I'm a believer. I'm old school in the sense that I'm a believer in just a good old handshake, and that we do what we say we're going to do, and we don't need to lean on a contract or administering that contract to exact, precise procedures to achieve a successful project. I just think that I should be able to shake a man's hand or woman's hand and look them in the eye and say, I am going to do this, and here's how, and let's talk about it. If it doesn't work, if we hit speed bumps along the way, let's talk about it. We can refer to our contract, and we'll do it within the confines of the contract and administering the contract. But, we're just going to, first and foremost, we're going to go on our word here, more so than the contract and the administration thereof.
Well, you had everything right except for you can't shake hands. You got to stand 6 feet from each other and stare at each other. So.
Touche. Yeah. The hat tip. Yeah.
What about design?
Design is, I'd give it a 9. It's you have to have it. That it is it's what you base everything on. That's what you're building. So you have to have it. Yeah, I'd give it a 10. Yeah, I mean it's simple as that. It is critical. If you have a faulty design, it can be disastrous for a project. You have to. You as the contractor are 100% relying on that. Whether it's even whether it's that design is provided by a third party engineer, architect, or even in house. Under design build, even, you are the contractor is relying on that design to build this project, simply put. And so it's a foundational item. So 9 or 10. Yeah.
Accounting.
I'm going to put my bond hat on here. Yeah. And say that it is certainly a 10, you have to know where things are, and accounting is a function that can drive all other factors in a business. It's obviously it's the report card, but it's not just telling you the A, B, yeah, we did a good job, or no, we're not doing a good job. It's it can be and should be, and for top-notch contractors, a managing tool. You are managing your business based on your accounting, based on your work in progress schedule, making sure that you know where you are at all times. Going back to my earlier point about, making sure that you know yourself, in this similar vein, you should know your own company. You should know where you are and be, you have to. If you don't, then you're potentially making decisions based on improper information. And
I knew you were going to say
that's no good.
You're a bonding guy, so I knew you were going to say it. So, what about business? What about business development?
That's a 10 as well. I know I'm throwing a lot of 10s here, but it's all about selling your work, selling your organization. You have to. We're always doing it. Business development is so much more than just networking and trying to drive new work in your pipeline. It's everything rolled into one. You are developed. You have to be going back to the points of being an irrelevant business. You have to be out there continually moving and shaking with the times and continually developing business, because if you're not, then you're going to look up in a few years. Maybe you can get by with it for a long time, but it could hurt you immediately. if you're not out there, developing a business. It's not, it doesn't need to be a slimy type thing. You hear sales, a lot of folks, hear sales and are put off by it, but it's more than that. It's looking out for the, longevity of your company and you personally as well. So,
and last but not least, leadership.
Leadership's got to be a 10 as well. It all comes to that, that's what all of this is. It all is driven by leadership. It's and leadership, not just from the top, and it's not from a title. I'm a big believer in that you can lead from any position. I try to be a leader of my own little Ben Dycus LLC, like I said, but I try to be a leader of our bond department, as well as just, a leader of, I'm just one of many at Van Meter Insurance, and certainly one of many at Houchins Industries. But I try, and I think we all should be trying to do this, is lead from where we are. So as long as everybody is, moving with a sense of leadership about them, then you're going to make your organization, and yourself, and your world even better. So I think we need it. We need it now more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely, especially now. Well, Ben, I'm going to give you the last word, as I always do to my guest. But number one, I want to thank you for being on today. This was a little different of a podcast, but extremely important, and kind of a request I had from several people, actually, because it's such an important aspect of what we do. It really is. The bonding end of it is a gateway to be able to do a lot of work. So,
Sure.
Sure. I appreciate that. And personally, I appreciate, having a chance to get to know you and have lunch with you. And, even though you make me pay for lunch every time we go out,
no,
that's not true. But
next one's on me. Yeah.
But I want to give you the last word.
Yeah, no, well, thanks again, Scott. First, I'd appreciate. I'll be on the lookout for that email with the names of those folks who asked me to or you to reach out to me. So I'll give them a shout about their bonding soon. Then but no, I wanted to just thank you very much for what you're doing here with the podcast in general. You've I'm honored to be considered for it. You've had a lot of very, tremendous people and representing tremendous companies on here. And so I'm grateful to be on it and be a part of it. So thank you very much for doing it. And there's a lot of great content in there as well. So I just want to leave it at that. Thank you very much. And, keep on going.
Well, another great session of another great podcast of CONEXEC. We'll see you guys next week.